Good evening, and welcome to episode 39 of the 2P's podcast. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. How are you still scratching away at goblins down there?
I might be.
Yeah, I thought you would be. And you're not being overcome by those mushrooms too much?
Yeah. No. Yes. No.
It's all right, dude. They're only made of plastic. Honest.
Yeah, not that one you sent me in the picture, though.
I know, that was flipping rough, wasn't it? It's like books that you love being eaten by mushrooms that you hate. So, yeah. Anyway, so tonight we are going to go onto the hobby desk. We've both been working on bits and bobs that you'll have seen pictures of. Not as productive for me over the last couple of weeks, but we'll have a chat about that. Then into the Galaxy of War. So we've had the LVO. The LVO.
That's right. Pick a letter.
That's right.
Any letter.
It's because I was thinking Las Vegas, all I could think was A, and I was like, no, it's not A. And we've had the New York Toy Fair, so some really awesome stuff has been announced there for the Galaxy of War, and also for the Mortal Realms. So the Mortal Realms, I've played a couple of games, so we'll discuss those. And Ben has been going squig mad, so I'm sure we'll have something to say on that. Into the community, as ever, talking about you awesome guys out there. And then lastly, into Middle-earth. And Ben has the Gondor at War book. So we're going to have a chat about what can be found in there. I think that'll about keep us going, won't it, mate?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Excellent. Cool. So, guys, grab your refreshments and see us on the hobby desk.
Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 39's Hobby Desk. Bit of a constructive one for me, Dan.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't it?
I'm missing painting, actually. But then...
Well, I'm missing watching you paint, or at least watching the progress.
Yeah, I kind of had to get them all done before I could start painting, though.
Yeah, and you said to me the other day, like, you've obviously, where you've been super productive, you've reached a point where most of your constructed stuff
Was painted, yeah.
was done.
Well, the constructed stuff that needed doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got like all the Shadespire stuff I need to build. So I just did so much painting last year and not enough building, really. But I don't know. I'm going to have to find a way of getting the building in without it taking up too much painting time, I think.
Yeah.
I know it sounds daft, but as much as
It's time to start training the kids.
Yeah. Well, Tristan would love to do that, but I don't quite trust him with plastic glue yet.
No. Might find his sister glued to something.
Well, I had I got a bag of like bits and bobs from actually a delivery driver. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't know if I said this story on here, but she turned up the other day with a parcel before Christmas, and Tristan opened the door and goes, "Oh, not more Warhammer." Yeah, it's more Warhammer. And she was like, "Oh, do you like Warhammer? My son's got a bag in the garage that he doesn't want anymore. I'll bring it in. I'll bring it over for you." I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." I didn't think anything of it. Never thought it would happen. But she did. She brought over a bag of stuff, which is really awesome. It's got some Gothic ships in, which I was dead chuffed about.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned this.
But the Space Marines in there are just absolutely brilliant. The dude has glued the bolt guns on, without taking the pistol grip off. So he's put the pistol grip behind the hand and just glued them to the chest. He's done exactly the same with the Katashan ones. So there's like the ones where the rifle stock built into the arm has got like the rifle glued next to it. It's just so random, and covered in plastic glue. So I've been reminded of why children should not be allowed plastic glue. Ever. Because they destroy miniatures. But there we go. So I haven't got much done, to be honest, dude, apart from building stuff. So I have got... I've assembled all of my old goblins. So I had a bunch of squig hoppers, and a bunch of the old stone trolls, and a bunch of characters, and I put all them together. And then, God, it really reminded me of how much hard work it is doing metal, like pinning metal and filing metal, and just everything about working with metal is just harder.
To be honest, I can't stand anything other than plastic now. Like, I've got the bits to do my resin, like, upgrades on my core door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I've got to heat them up to get them straight. And I got to wash them. And I'm like, no, I'll just do something else.
It's,
ridiculous.
It's a bit of a blast from the past. Even weird stuff like the smell of filed metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they took ages, actually, the metal squig hoppers, getting around them, getting all the mould lines off. So it's a real joy when I got to the new ones. They are stunning, mate. Absolutely lovely. Yeah. I'm in love with them. There's so much character.
I think you were working on them when we were chatting the other day, and just you were very excited about them.
They're fantastic. I mean, like, some of the squig, the goblins aren't even sat on the squig hopper. They're just holding on by one hand. It's like, way! I did the Mangler squig today. That is just superb. Like, actually superb. The person who constructed that is genius. It's fantastic.
Have you put it completely together, or are you doing it?
Yeah, I have put it completely together. I'm going to airbrush it, I think, to get the bulk of the colour down, and then go back in with some glazes and highlights. I've left the loon boss off the top, so I can paint him separately. On a spike, on a pig pot, or something like that. I don't know. And I was tinkering around with what do they call them now? The old giant ale guzzler gargants. Fixed him up, ready to go, because I got one of those. Well, when we had about 60 in the shop to sell.
Oh yeah.
I was convinced to get one and then model it. So he's been broken over the last 15 years, or however long he was been, and so I put him together. God, it would be 10 years now, wouldn't it?
Don't say that. Let's move on.
It is 10 years. God, that makes me.
I know.
Yeah, so he got a bit smashed up in the process of life, and so I mended him today too. Then the fanatics, just loads of stuff.
My mum said today that she was going to this person's wedding, and I was like, "What? She's like 12, Mum," and she was like, "No, Dan, she's 25 now," and I was like, "No."
Weird. Well.
Anyway, sorry.
I was just reading off the stuff. I mean, none of it's interesting, really. To hear, people don't like hearing about other people have built. It's not, is it?
Well, we may as well stop now.
What I am thinking about is, I'm going to be using. Oh, I'm sorry to lean a bit close to the mic there. I'm going to be using a new colour. It's a squig orange. I've never used it before. Never seen a need to. So, in fact, I've just opened.
Is that the base?
No, it's a layer. So they recommend corn red, and then Druchii violet wash.
All the best colour schemes start with corn red.
Druchii violet. And then highlight it up with squig orange and something else.
And then just go over the top with just corn red again. Be spot on. Be good.
In fairness, a mangler squig is probably more corn than anything in the Khorne army.
Yes, although I think corn is more focused aggression, where a mangler squig is just having a flipping crack in time and some people get squashed.
Yeah. I'm going to get a Skittles sound, like a 10-pin bowling sound, on my phone. Every time it charges, I'm going to play it. Or every time I take models off.
Nice.
One of the reasons I'm putting them all together first is so I can start playing with them, because I am really excited about using them. I made my box of the new squig hoppers as the Grotz bounders. Is that right? I don't know.
Grotz bounders, I think you called them when we were talking the other day.
The ones with lances. They're just excellent. They're just so random. I love the fact that they are how they become a bounder is by surviving one battle, just one. Then they give him a helmet and a lance. Right, well, you're obviously a veteran now. So you'll love it. I can't wait. I've got so much I want to do, though, at the moment, painting-wise. Outside of doing the armies, I know really feeling like spending a lot of time on individual models, but I still don't feel that I've got the bulk of what I need to do done before I can do that. Like, for example, I really want to do the Shadespire Stormcast in non-metal metallics.
Oh, yeah.
But in the same colours as my actual... so kind of like a bronze colour.
As your actual ones, yeah.
A bit like how Richard Gray did his Neve Black Tannin.
Oh, well, you'll be able to pull that off, no problem.
Yeah, I thought so. Now, I will be looking at how he did it very closely, but I think it's more about the colours I'm going to use than anything else that's going to make it look bronzy rather than gold. But
Khorne red.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You have, like, Khorne Tourette's.
I do. I can't help myself.
So talking about Khorne, you've done a lesser version of a fanatic, a wannabe Khorne fanatic.
Yeah, wannabe Khorne. Well, I was looking back through my pictures to see what I'd actually done, and I've barely done anything. So I finished off the Flesh Hounds. So I think when we were last speaking, I was just starting to base them.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're done. And I have painted Scar Bloodwrath, I think he's called. Scar the Angry, I called him, because he clearly is pretty annoyed. And that was quite cool, because I've had him since Age of Sigmar came out, because he came out... When did he come out? He came out as part of the End Times. Yeah,
because he would have come out with the other wannabe fanatics, wouldn't he?
Yes, he came out with the other wannabe fanatics. And, so I bought him, and I think I've only ever used him in, like, one battle. And then he's only 80 points, and I thought, I fancy painting him. Or actually, what I fancied doing was building him a bigger base, because he comes on this little rocky spire that he's leaping off.
Yeah.
That's about, 15 mil high. Yeah. And I was like, well, this is clearly insufficient. So I made one that's like 40 mils high. Completely don't care about the fact that
it's just Matrix jumping off the
true line of sight, and he's just going to get shot. But you just got to embrace it in Age of Sigmar. I just get so angry that characters can just be shot that I'm just embracing it, and I'm like, yeah, here I am, shoot me. So he's done. I've just after dinner this evening, I finished putting the blood for the blood god on him.
Yeah.
But that's it. So I've actually only finished one complete model in the 2 weeks, so I've got to step it up a bit. It's interesting, actually. I find painting single miniatures, I get really frustrated because they seem to, they still seem to take a bit of time, and at the end of it, I don't feel totally, like, satisfied because I haven't got, like, a big chunk to add to my army. Unless it's, like, a big single miniature, like a tank or a bloodthirster.
Yeah.
But they take even longer, So I'd quite like to paint... I did even think about just painting 10 Lord of the Rings orcs, because I know I'll be able to knock them out quickly, and it'll give me that sense of satisfaction.
Yeah. I think it's important to do a mixture of the sort of units you're doing as well. That's the size and scale. I think... Well, I know some armies are based entirely on one kind of unit class, like infantry-based armies and monster-based armies, but I do think that it is worth having, a unit character or something. Even if the character's like a squad sergeant, so you just slow down, take more time on it, practice those techniques that you've, watched somebody do on YouTube and you want to have a go at. And then speed back up again and do your other units. And I think there's a knock-on effect from what you've learnt with the character onto the models, onto the units, and then vice versa. Some of the things that you do on the units, I think, sort of come back and help you with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I never do that.
Well, no.
I never do that. I just get on and paint 1,000 orcs or whatever and don't listen to my own advice, but... There we go.
Well, you do all right. You got loads done last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm in a bit of a hobby funk, actually. As much as a hobby funk as I can have, really. Because I am assembling and doing stuff, but, I'm so easily distracted. Like, the last 2 nights I've had off, and I've spent the whole night watching The Expanse, which if anyone isn't or hasn't watched The Expanse, seriously, it's absolutely stunning. So, it's sci-fi at its best. They've got, like, Martian Marines in with, like, the suits of power armor that are sort of a cross between Halo and 40k, with, like, underslung hand cannons, a bit like the aggressors. Oh, yeah. So good. Absolutely ace. Yeah.
Right, so now we've informed everybody what to do instead of painting.
Yeah. That's the thing is, you have a finite amount of time, don't you? And in life.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
well, in your day-to-day as well. And it's so easy to, so I really like the 30 minutes a day. And we've actually started to call each other now to try and sort of sit and do the 30 minutes on the phone so that we're motivating each other to do it. Yeah. Because I think it's so easy at the moment for me to be distracted, and just do, something a lot less arduous, than painting, which is just tough, man. Painting is like running a marathon. It's hard work.
I think I tend to find you go through different stages. Like, you get that initial kind of excitement, but then if you are building a lot of things, then you get the kind of, I just want to get onto the painting now. And then you're like, right, I'm going to paint it. And then you get the sort of, I just want to get the base coats out of the way. You do that and you're like going for it. And then you get the worst bit for me, which is when you're like, it's done, but it's not done. So like, and then it just sits.
Yeah.
I can end up leaving it for ages because I think I'm pretty much like, I'll get to the stage where all I need to do is like highlight the metal and put the blood on. And part of my brain just switches into, no, that's finished mode.
Mm.
And so then I don't get it done. So yeah, it is hard to keep up the motivation. I've struggled with the 30 minutes, thing just because between sort of work and, Joshua and Harriet's not been very well, and it makes it hard to fit it in. But, and that's probably why I haven't got so much done over the last couple of weeks, but I've still done something, I suppose, which is good. The other thing that I've done is made myself a magnetic tray, so I can store all my armies on the wall. I decided.
Or
so
carry them around in events is what you mean.
Yes, carry them around in events. So I'm going to this event soon at Big, and Jim's great. He provides trays, but obviously they're not magnetized. And I had a couple of sheets of, but it's not steel paper, this stuff. It's like, I don't know what it is, magnet, basically. And so I went onto Amazon and I bought a great big black tray, for about £4, I think, and then stuck this stuff to it. And it's pretty strong, actually. I have to be careful getting my models off it, I think. But the idea being, just so that I've got something to put them on for events.
It's an absolute tragedy when somebody drops their tray or somebody bangs into them and all the models fall off. I always worry about it happening to you, yourself. So I think anything that you can do to make your life easier, so you don't have to pack them all away in your carry case and then get them all out again, or and at the same time feel confident that they're going to be safe, I think it's well worth the effort.
Yeah, definitely.
Well worth the effort. Because you do not want to be that guy, do you?
No.
It's always been awesome. Every time I've seen it happen, everyone in the club has chucked a couple of quid into a pot, and at Big, I think they even put some money in themselves to cover a little bit of the cost. But it's painted models. You can't replace that kind of love and time very easily.
No, you can't.
Yeah. It's me getting sentimental there.
Cool.
But...
So, what are you doing next then? Are you nearly finished with your construction marathon? Are we going to see something painted?
So I have got the Dankhold Troggoth to put together.
Yeah.
I've got the Squig Herd to put together, and I have the big building thing to put together, and the characters. But I probably won't put the characters together until I intend to build them. Until I intend to paint them. Sorry. What I will probably do. Is build the Dankhold Troggoth, because I just want to build that because he looks stunning. And then do the Squig Hoppers. Actually paint the Squig Hoppers, and I think I'll probably start with the old ones, because I can knock the old ones out fairly quickly. Because, I mean, genuinely, looking at the difference in detail between the old ones and the new one, they are so far apart. It's unreal. In fact, there's some lost detail on the new ones. So, you know that little weird crabby thing that's like attached itself to the back of Stink Mullet?
Yeah.
Well, one of the squigs has got one of those attached to its tongue. And when you build them, it's very clever. You build like the bodies out of two halves. And then you build all the heads. And then you can put any head on any body. But underneath the head, you put the kind of gullet thing. So you put the gullet on the body, and then you put the head over the top. So if there's 5 different bodies and 5 different heads, you know, there's a fair old number. I'm not going to try and do the maths because I'll embarrass myself, but there's a fair old number of combinations there. I think there's even 6 heads because you've got like the leader's kind of armoured head.
Yeah.
And what I haven't checked, and I really ought to have done it when I was building them, was whether or not the heads of the Squig Herd fit on the bodies of the Squig Hoppers and vice versa. Because then you would have a monstrous amount of interchangeability. But the gullet has got all of that detail on, like the crab as the tongue and the uvula hanging at the back and all of that stuff. And really lovely sculpted palates for the back of the mouth. You know, like the ridges on the... You can't see 90% of it when you put the head on. So it's almost like if I was going to do a unit for Golden Demon, I would probably paint that bit first, and then put the head on, so the detail was there and done. Yeah, but it's really quite impressive actually. There's so much going on in them. So I think the new Squig Hoppers will probably take me 3 or 4 times as long as the old ones. So I'm going to start with the old ones, mainly to get myself used to the sort of tones I want to put onto the squigs, the colours I want to use. Because I quite like to do them all slightly different as well. So I don't want to have them all red. I might have some that are more brown and some that are more red, and maybe even some that are a bit kind of albino or something.
Yeah, I like that.
So
I do like the idea of squigs that are all different.
So the same way that I paint skin all different. You know, I think it helps with the unit as well. But keep them in the same palette. So maybe choose 4 or 5 base colours and highlight them by adding the same colour. Yeah. You know, the same lighter colour. So something like Rakath Flesh or something, or I don't know. Interesting. That's why I want to do the older ones first. I've also got to try and remember how I did the bases for my Iron Jaws.
Well, I'm sure there's in fact, I'm sure you've written that somewhere. I'm sure somebody asked.
I'll have to go back and have a look. But this time I'll do a step by step on it, because that's how I'm remembering how to do my own stuff, let alone.
Yes. Very wise.
So what are you planning on doing next?
Well, I say I might do 10 Lord of the Rings orcs or 8 Lord of the Rings orcs or something like that. But I've also got, Harriet bought me a few years ago, before Age of Sigmar came out, I think, the Death Knell Watch, which is like the little octagonal tower thing.
Oh, the big thing?
No, not the giant one.
Oh.
It's a couple of stories and it's got skulls on it.
Oh.
But it's attached to a base and so I might paint that because I've got it, and I've bought this some kind of plastic type basing stuff that I saw recommended online.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought I'd try that.
What's it called?
Like to make the base out of. Hang on, I'll look it up. But I ordered 3mm thick, and they've sent me 5mm thick, which is a bit of a shame, really, because I don't want it 5mm thick. A bit too much, really. It's called PVC Foamex.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it's not foam board. It's different.
Like a really dense polystyrene, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was one of the dudes that you shouted out last time that was using it.
Oh, Luke APS, yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
Not him. Or at least I don't think it was him. No, it wasn't.
Well, you could put it up
anyway,
on the show notes.
This is. Yeah, I was going to say we'll probably stick that on the show notes because I'm being really helpful here with my. No, it's not him. Don't know. Yeah, it's somebody on YouTube because that narrows it right down. Cool. Right. So I think that is enough hobby rambling.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can get done over the next couple of weeks, and we will go into the Galaxy of War. Welcome, mortals, to the galaxy that shall fall. Dude.
Nah.
It is chaos time.
Nah.
The man is coming.
Nah.
Yeah, he is. Don't say meh at me. That obliterator is stunning. And that big walking spider beastie.
Nah.
Right, well, this is fascinating. That's fine. I shall say what I wish, and it will be very much chaos-ified. So while you're just mehing, I'm just going to watch this amazing video in the background.
They have a good taste in music, don't they?
Oh, yes! I am so excited! So, some shizzle has been shown off, and it's beautiful, dude.
Some random Chaos Lord.
Random Chaos Lord. Abaddon is coming back! Yeah! So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you've been living in a cave. Definitely.
Like my Grotz.
Yeah, like your Grotz. So, the LVO had a whole bunch of awesome reveals at it. And amongst those, the majority, there was some cool Primaris stuff. That librarian is absolutely epic. Just fantastic.
Well, it's a new box set. So, oh my days, the name, I've literally just got the name in my head and it's gone again. Shadow Strike or something
Shadow
like that.
Spear.
Shadow Spear.
Yeah.
Every model in it is brand new. So it's effectively a new starters kit, which is fabulous, really. And they look so good, dude.
Yes.
And there's been extra leaks since then as well. So, effectively what that is Sigmar has opened a new, Gilliman has opened a new, chamber. No, sorry, hang on, I'm getting confused here.
Gilliman's opened a new chamber? You are properly getting mixed up between game systems here, dude.
Accidentally on purpose, of course.
That is amazing.
So Gilliman has released his little wave of Scouty Primaris, is what the gist of it is.
Now, Gilliman, you can't solve every problem by simply opening the Emperor's throne room. The hell I can't! More Primaris!
So we've got some of the best sniper models I've seen in a long time. I love them. Absolutely love them.
They're wonderful, aren't they? They're really, really good. They're really good.
We were talking the other day to Ross, and he asked, because they were talking at an event at Barb's, somebody said, "Oh, why do they not have sniper rifles have really such a poor AP?" And I was like, "It's because they're lasers that fire darts effectively." And he'd never read that. So, for those who don't know, the sniper rifles in the Imperium, apart from the Vindicare Assassin, and this includes the ones used by the Rattlings and the Astartes, is a laser that burns a hole in whatever, and then it fires a dart, like a crystalline dart in that poisons them effectively outright. And but those rifles look like extended barreled stalker pattern bolt rifles, so they might be a completely new beast.
They look
which would be
amazing.
Wicked, because if they are like long range AP -2, that would be stunning. Really useful on the battlefield. We've got the Librarian, and from artwork, we haven't seen models yet. We've got what looks like a kind of new Reaver-esque, so in the Reaver kind of quieter armour, with a more normal looking helmet, kind of a scouty looking trooper. And then a few days ago, it was just pointed out to me today by Simon that there's an artwork video. I'd missed it. I don't know why I missed it, and it's a dude with grav stuff on, and he's got like a underslung sort of autocannon heresy era style. Oh yes,
I'm hoping they do a model of, if you look at the artwork piece with the Ultramarines and the Chaos, there's a dead Space Marine at the front there with like a big hole in his chest. They need to model him. Definitely.
Right. So I was going to move on to the Chaos just then and say how awesome they are, but I think they don't deserve it because you don't deserve it.
All right, well that's fine. I'll cover it off. So,
okay. You can do the Chaos half then.
The Chaos are awesome. So we got to look at some cool stuff. So we'd already seen, I can't remember from where, maybe it was one of the open days, New Year's open day, I think actually, the Master of Possession, who is the guy with all the fire. Like definitely, I think, to be honest, risk assessment wise, it's going to be up there. As as a big
do not allow near curtains.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you wouldn't want to be a Slanesh dude, would he? With like all the sporific musk and the drapes and stuff. So there's him, which people have taken along with a couple of the rumor things and a picture on the front to mean we're going to see new Possessed, and have cool new rules for Possessed, which is nice. And then the Legionaries. So they look immense. Really, really nice Chaos Space Marines. And they actually don't look... So they look a bit more like they've been in the warp for ages and gradually gained all that stuff rather than just like Imperial Space Marines with a bit slapped on.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like they look like they've lavished attention onto their armour.
Yeah.
The Black Legion. Like the edging is just this sleek and sinister and is a design in its own right rather than, just stick some horns on my helmet.
Yep. Then there's the Obliterator. So that is absolutely outrageously amazing. And exactly what an Obliterator should be. It's actually interesting. I will try and find for the show notes. I'm sure I'll be able to. The third from 3rd edition 40k, the first Obliterator.
Yeah, do it. That is so bad.
Well, and then there was the middle Obliterators, and then there was the current ones, I think. Don't know. But anyway, this one, fantastic.
Do you think it's... I mean, it's difficult to tell scale with this one on their end.
Actually. I'd taken it to be massive, but it might not. It might... I don't know. I reckon it is going to be pretty big.
Well, it would be a different way of doing it, rather than having them as a unit of 3, which is what they were traditionally, and going for like a bigger thing that was more like a dreadnought. But then I would like to see them as a sort of a unit of 3. I think that would be cooler.
So,
like the Amrobots, Ambots.
So, and then the Venom Crawler. That is so cool. That is right out of your nightmares, isn't it?
Yep.
It's so chaos.
Yeah, it's like a cross between a spider and a scorpion and everything that's wrong with both of them.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just terrifying. And that's not even everything in the box. And then, so that's all of that. And then, we'll just skip past this sister about, even though she's lovely. But not enough. Well,
we've got some, before you move on, but we have had this stupid demon engine thing rather than.
Hang on, I haven't finished yet.
All right, calm down.
We haven't spoken about the man. The dead Primaris lieutenant. When I watched that video, I was at work. And it was funny because the LVO stuff was up and I couldn't look at it because I had to do a conference call. And I think you and I'd certainly Ben Chambers were like messaging me and saying, "This is amazing." And I was like, "Stop it. I've got to do this." I did this conference call and I shut the door to the office and I sat down. And I went down for it and I was getting more excited. And then I scrolled to the bottom and I watched that video, mate, and I just lost my shit. Totally. And people were looking in and were like, "What is Dan doing?" And I'm like, oh my goodness. It was, yeah. Yeah. I was so excited. I'm so happy. Totally going to be doing a Black Legion army.
Yeah.
Got to do a Black Legion army now. I think it's time to do something a bit different. Going to have a think about how I'm going to do the banding and stuff, because I'd quite like to try and cut down the number of stages. So I'd quite like to do it in a way where I can put a colour on, wash it, and then just do a single edge highlight.
Yeah.
For speed.
Miniarkle tried to do he did a very good job of doing an heavy metal Black Legionary.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that heavy metal do it is they use I don't know how they do it, but the way he interpreted how they did it was I forgot the name of the gold that's quite bright. The new white top one.
Retributor armor? Or Liberator gold?
Liberator gold, I think it is. Yeah, the brighter one. Because their gold is quite pale. And then he washed, I think it was scorched brown or something like, or whatever scorched brown is now, into around the rivets.
All right.
So you got like tonal gradation along it, and then edge highlighted it. So that might be worth looking at.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you to get Bandon looking really nice, I think it takes quite a lot of effort. I think anyway, because it's often quite with the Black Legionaries, it's a dominant part of the model,
yes.
A huge part of the model.
Yeah.
And if it's not done well, whereas with the Khorne, you can get away with it not looking perfect in some ways because you're spending your time on the red as well. But with the black, you could almost leave the black and get the banding done well, and it would all look great.
Yeah. So you were going to say about the Demon Engine.
Yes, so there's loads of lovely little snippets of Black Legion stuff in there. Like heavy bolters and backpacks and goodness knows what. I'm really excited for them, actually, because I think it's a high time where you had some new Chaos Marines. And of course, they're not just Black Legion, they're whatever you want them to be.
Yeah.
They are the new basic Chaos Space Marine. I mean, let's not forget that. And I'm so excited by how they look, because the old ones had fallen well into the past, hadn't they? Yeah. They were a dying kit. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that box. I'm still expecting there to be a Space Marine vehicle in there.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm still thinking Land Speeder, but it could be anything. Oh, talking about vehicles, dude. So, Necron Invasion, the book, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the new one for kids. It's cracking, actually. I read it this morning, or you got the sample books they were handing out. And the Primaris, the Space Marines come down to, stop the invasion, or try and stop the invasion, or give the inhabitants of this hive city at least a fighting chance of getting off the planet. And there's a piece of artwork, and it's a drop pod that lands, and what's coming out of the drop pod?
No.
Yes, Yes, it's Primaris, mate, coming out of a drop pod. I was like, no, that is not allowed. You are teaching them bad habits.
That is awesome, though.
I know. I'm going to put that picture on the show notes because it might be the first sign that we're getting a Primaris drop pod at some point in the not so distant future. But you heard it here first.
Yes.
It made sense as well. They didn't bang their heads on the way out or trip over the access ramp. It was, they disembarked and beat the snot out of Necrons just like a good Space Marine should do coming out of a drop pod.
Wow, of course. That is excellent news. So
there we go.
There's also been the New York Toy Fair.
Yes.
So you've had a look, haven't you? There's the...
Oh, yes.
On them.
Oh, these things are weird, aren't they? Don't you find these, like... I kind of knew the LVO was coming, because it happened last year, but I don't remember the Toy Fair.
No, but I think Games Workshop are interacting with more and more each year, aren't they?
Yeah. But, I mean, what we ended up with was a whole bunch of stuff that, we hadn't seen anything of at all, so it was brilliant. So, like 2 weeks on the trot, we were treated. So, the 40k release, so effectively it was box games. That was the theme of the event. So they've been showcasing their box games, and we'll talk about a couple of other of them in the next section. But for 40k, there is a sort of a Blackstone Fortress kind of prequel box called Combat Zone or Combat Arena or something like that. And in it are 5 absolute corkers of models.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we have a Crusader, which when I saw it, I practically jumped out of bed. Jo was not happy because I woke her up. It's like, oh my god, look at that! There's a superb, I think she's a Rogue Trader. I'm going to say Rogue Trader, with a peg leg, like a spiked peg leg, and a servitor loading her gun, like a servo skull loading her 6-shooter. I love that.
It's good,
I absolutely love that. I've got this image of like sort of 40k gunslingers with like servo skulls buzzing around them, sort of feeding them new guns while they're in the middle of a gunfight. So, here, have your gun back. Here, so good. Reloaded, of course. And there's a servitor, and it's the best servitor that they've ever done.
Oh, easily.
It's so good. It's so, like, grim, dark, and for the first time, genuinely a bit sinister.
Mm.
Like, you would not want to be in a dark alley with it. Whereas the other ones looked a little bit kind of meh.
I think they painted it really nicely as well.
They have, yeah.
The sort of grey
and then we've got a Primaris Psyker. Not a Primaris Space Marine Psyker. Like a Imperial Guard one. And the last thing is an Admech, which is very nice too. So it's just a cracking set of models. And I think that box set will sell like hotcakes just for its content. Just for its models.
Yep.
Over everything else.
Well, and it's important to note that if it does use, and it appears to, because the inserts look exactly the same, if it uses a sort of mechanic that Gorchosen did, that is a cracking good little fun game to play. It
really is, yeah.
So,
yeah. And those models are going to be available in Blackstone Fortress. It very clearly says that as well. So they will be characters you can use in Blackstone Fortress.
Mm.
I don't know whether the cards come in the box or whether that's something that will come out in the future. I don't know, but they are designed to be characters that will go into Blackstone Fortress.
Excellent.
So it's a great little box. And alongside the Amble being released.
Yes.
So it's an add-on box. I was very surprised to see it was a box. Which is really good actually, because it feels like an add-on to the game. It's got its room card in there. It's like a floor tile. It's got the Amble. It's got a whole bunch of cards and stuff to add the dynamic in as well. So
have you heard anything about it?
Not details other than what I've just said, no.
Because I was talking to Chris today, and he was telling me that apparently there's like a little story to it, and the Amble was trapped and raised by a Magos biologist. But the Magos biologist was like, and his little team were on the Blackstone Fortress, and he got fed up of trying to find his way around the Blackstone Fortress because it obviously shifts and changes. And he thought he'd just let the amble out because it would burrow its way down to the centre, like drawn to the power. And then shortly after he let the amble out, all contact with his team was lost. But the guys out on Precipice are freaking out because they've seen some larvae, and they're like, "Oh no, this is going to be bad." But the box also adds the workstation of the Magos biologist, which is it sits alongside Precipice, so it adds another location you can visit when you go back to rearm and stuff.
Ace. Fantastic.
So yeah, sounds really good.
And I suppose last but not least from release-wise is they've announced that Space Marine Heroes 2 is going to be available.
You forgot the Funko Pops, dude.
Oh, yeah, but we've already spoken about those.
Have we?
Yeah.
Okay. The
Space Marine Funko Pops. They're happening. I'm going to have them all in my office.
Yeah. I sent to Ben Chambers when I saw they were announcing them. I said, look cool, not my thing, relieved I'm not going to have to spend any money. Then I saw the actual ones, like the proper pictures of them, and I was like, damn it, now I'm going to have to spend my money. Because they are cool. I like the Space Wolf one, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I might get it and then repaint the beardy bits to be black, and then it'll just be like you, but on my desk. Be ace.
Amazing.
I can't wait till they do a Khorne Berserker one.
Which will happen.
Oh yeah, I think Khorne Berserkers have got enough of a cartoony silliness about them to fit the Funko thing anyway.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, they have.
So yes, Space Marine Heroes 2 has been announced is going to be available in the rest of the world, because currently it's only in Japan. They are the Terminators, and they've some nice ones in there. I've seen the pictures from Japan, so I'm quite excited to try and get my hands on the set of those.
Yeah.
There's command ones, like ones with a banner and all sorts in there. So, and also on top of that, they've announced Space Marine Heroes 3, which I wonder if they're not just going to release worldwide, straight off the bat, rather than start in Japan, but we'll see.
What's going to be in that one? Did it say?
No, it doesn't say at all. I'm thinking Primaris, if I'm being honest, dude. I mean, that would make sense, but don't know. I think it's a nice idea, like little cool special squads of stuff, you know. Yeah. So I think, is that everything? Have we covered everything?
I think so. Probably not, but it's enough to keep people excited.
It is.
For now.
It also throws a huge spanner in, I really want to get Blackstone Fortress done now. So much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really throwing a spanner in my works.
In fact, I might actually send a message to Chris and find out if he is planning to get the Amble expansion, because if he isn't, I might get it. Because he's got Blackstone. Well,
while you're doing that, let's get some refreshments and head on into the mortal realms. Hi guys, and welcome to the stinking, festering dark places of the mortal realms, where mushroom grows out your ears and puddles turn into slime. Otherwise known as my hobby room.
Yeah. Does that make you a dank old Troggoth?
Oh, yes. No. Thanks, dude.
That's alright.
I love them. That model... There's lots about it that I hadn't noticed from the pictures. Like the boss thing is looking at a spider hanging from his club.
Is he?
Yeah, love it. Brilliant. Stupendous. So, I have got much to talk about extra from, because I haven't read any more of the Gloomspire Gits book, but, and you've heard my ramblings so far about building them. I think we'll start today with your games, because I'm really excited by what you've been up to. You've got old Firestorm, haven't you? It's just cracking.
Yeah. We've only played one game from Firestorm, so since last time I played a couple of times. I'm preparing for the 1,000-point tournament, so I've played. I think I've played twice actually. Yeah. We've played two. I played 2 games in preparation for that, and I've had a win and a loss. Against Dan. The first time he took pure Wanderers, and the second time he took a mixed order force.
Yeah.
Both really interesting games. Both came right down to the wire, turn 5. And I think I spent about 10 minutes just staring at the table in the hero phase of my last turn, trying to work out what I wanted to do. And ironically, I came up with a plan, and then my bloodletters scuppered it by overperforming. They killed too much stuff. And there was only 2 of them, and they killed 3 things. And I was like, oh, thanks, dudes. But
is that the one where they were all on the way to the pub?
No. That was from the Firestorm campaign. Epic fail in that second game, though, because I took Scar. He died on the first turn, and then I completely forgot that you can bring him back to life. So anyway, that's the learning point. But good game. Dan played so well, especially right at the end with his. He had some of the Kinnerai heart renders, I think.
Yeah.
And they are mean, dude. They came swooping in and promptly javelined my Bloodthirster to death. But then his positioning with them was superb for capturing objectives, because when you want to contest an objective, the same model can't contest more than one objective, but it's done by model, not by unit. So you can have a unit spread between 2 and have 50% of them counting towards one objective and 50% towards the other. Which is what he did. So that worked well. So yeah, that was really good. But I know you really want to hear about the campaign. So
no, I don't. I think there's some interesting things to pull out of that. One of the things I've started to look at doing with my armies is create a laminated piece of paper with like a checklist on it of things to do in the hero phase.
Cheat sheet.
Yeah, cheat sheet. So that for example, in your case, in your army, I would have put, is Scar dead? As a reminder. Because if it is, then you need to do something about it. So I think, there's some learning points there, definitely.
Yeah, well, I'm putting together, I ordered off Amazon an A5, display book, so it's got all the pockets inside. And it fits quite well. They're a little bit small, but that's a good thing. The War Scroll cards.
Yeah.
And if you put them back to back, you can fit 2 in one pocket, and it's just a little bit more convenient way than having them all spread out all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm also putting things in there like the scenery table.
Because I never remember that, and I can never remember to find it.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, so I put the scenery table. I'm putting the scenery table in there, and a few other bits and bobs that I need to remember, the items. So basically, I'll have everything in this reference, and then obviously I'll take the books with me, so that if anyone's like, "Oh, actually, I want to see the original," that's fine. Don't mind that. But it just means I can have it all to hand, because what I cannot stand is when the table becomes just a mess of books and stuff.
Yeah.
And it does, inevitably. The nice thing about playing 1,000 points is it's typically on a 4x4, so you get a little bit of space to put your stuff.
Which is, interestingly, why Titanicus is recommended on a 4x4.
Yeah.
For that very reason, because you have all the unit cards. So...
Yeah. So then, we decided well, Dan mentioned the other day he quite fancied doing the Firestorm campaign. And then I was lying in bed thinking about the Firestorm campaign, and I thought, well, why don't we just do it rather than umming and ahhing over it? So I went and got it out. Realised it was actually quite clever and quite simple. And because Tom and Ben Chambers have started putting together an army now, there's actually 4 of us. So we were like, right, well, let's play this then, because it's 4-person. It's really clever, dude. So it uses these things called domain cards. So you start the game with 8 domain cards in your deck. And then, you start the campaign with 8 domain cards in your deck. And then you agree with another player that you're going to play a game and where you're going to fight over. And if you can't agree, you roll off. And then before the battle, you draw 6 of your 8 domain cards at random.
Yep.
And they have a number of different things on. So they have muster points and glory points and strategy points and possibly build points on some of them. And essentially what you do is you go, right, how many muster points have I got? So you add them all up. So, for example, when I played Dan, I had 12 muster points. Dan added up all of his, and he had 13. And then you times that by the number that you agree with your opponent as you want them to count as to work out the size of the battle. So for Dan and I, because we've got lots of stuff, we were like, right, well, each muster point could be 100 points. So I had a 1,200 point army and Dan had 1,300 points.
Yeah.
But like Ben and Tom, because they've only just started, they had the similar situation where they both drew 12, but they decided each would be worth 50 points because then the game's only 600 points.
Yeah.
But the point being, it doesn't matter. It can change between battles, but it still represents where you are in the campaign. It just means that people with smaller or larger forces can play. And I thought that was excellent.
That's very clever, isn't it?
Really good. And then, as the game goes on, there are opportunities to upgrade, exchange, or add to your card deck. Thus meaning, like, for example, I think there's one in there which is like a muster field, right? And that's worth D3 glory points. And that can be upgraded to like a barracks, and that's worth 4 muster points. And it keeps going up to there's one that's worth like just a flat 8. And then the strategy points can be used on strategies, or stratagem type things, which are listed in the campaign book. The build points allow you to garrison places, which give you extra muster points if you're fighting near them. And the glory points is how the campaign is worked out. So yeah, I think the mechanic for the campaign's really, really cool. Each person's got their own little envelope with their little cards in and everything. Oh, and you have a secret objective that you've got to try and achieve as well, which gives you more glory. So that's
like
good.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. And the background's pretty ace as well, the Flamescar Plateau. So it's the ancient realm of the, what are they called? The Algaroxy or something like that. And they were a magocracy which ruled over this area. And they had a big floating city that they floated around on magic. And they created these colossi called, in a place called the Titan Works. And they did all their bidding, and they trapped the Fulminax, which is sort of a god beast / elemental of fire, under this mountain, and used its power to power the Prismaticon, which are like a load of massive lampposts, I suppose, huge lamppost things with crystals on, and They had these, the infinity gears, which helped them calculate how to use this Prismaticon to focus the power of the realm of Akshi as like a laser beam.
Yeah.
And they could literally work out how to laser through different realm gates and laser things in other realms and stuff. So Khorne got a bit annoyed with their hubris, and he was like, right, well, that's enough of that. So he summoned a huge demon legion to go and lay waste to them. And they lasered it. They just hit it with a laser and destroyed it. And so in his rage, he punched their sky city out of the sky and smashed it.
What Khorne did?
Yeah.
It's unusual for him to actually get off his throne and do anything.
Yeah, so that destroyed them and they were wiped out. And that was like ages and ages ago. And now, there's loads of armies fighting over to try and gain the, control of these ancient artifacts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the campaign. So that's the little campaign. I love the way it works. So it says the first thing you should do is agree how long you want your campaign to run for. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, blah, blah. We've agreed we're going to play until the first baby arrives.
All right, yeah.
Because Ben and I both got them on the way, so. But it's nice, it's cool. Ben's got a game against Tom. Ben's going to play his game against Tom on Tuesday. I need to play another 1,000 points really and try and hone my skills. My list has changed, my 1,000-point list. I think the last time we were speaking, I said it was going to be more Fleshhound based.
Yeah, you've gone for more of the spinny dudes now, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I decided to put some Wrathmongers in because they're quite cool, because you often see a lot of monsters, and if you kill a Wrathmonger, I can select a model that's attacked them to attack itself or its own unit.
Mm.
So that can be quite effective against monsters. But what I found is the whole army is struggling a bit because it's a bit without support characters, it's a bit naff. There's a lot of needing 4s, then 4s.
Yeah.
Or 3s, then 4s. And that swiftly goes from a lot of dice to a very small amount of wounds. But, hey ho. I'm thinking that, well, we'll see. We'll see
4s and 4s is what most people roll, dude. So you're not going to hear an overwhelming cry of sympathy from everyone.
No. But we're not that's fine. But we're talking about, I'm going to an event, which is for fun, obviously, but also it's not a narrative event. It's an event to try and win games. So I'm not sure whether I should put something else in that buffs those units.
Yeah. Well, what would you drop out?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That's always the issue. Because at the moment, I'm quite pleased because I've got the... Pardon?
You could have less bloodletters.
Yeah. Dan says that, but I don't know. Maybe. But anyway...
You've got a bloodletter thing, dude. It's your army is always like a massive blob of bloodletters.
Well, I've only got 32 painted. I've got another 30 in a box that are red, ready to do all the paint brushwork on.
So
I need
only 64,
So I want to do those really. Maybe I'll do those.
Even bigger blob of bloodletters, which is just going the opposite direction from where I was intending.
Yeah,
that's cool. I've actually managed to convince a couple of the guys down here to start. Because I was inspired by you guys getting started to start a Firestorm Plateau campaign. So,
oh, brilliant!
Yeah, it was. I said I'd sort out the urban conquest campaign for them if they played in a Firestorm Plateau campaign. So
excellent.
It might be just me and Ross to start with, but I'm sure I can convince other people. But
I think I'm going to paint my bloodletters next.
Really?
Yeah, I've just got excited talking about them.
Uh-huh.
And it'll bulk out the army. Do you know what I've not done? And I will do it because I'm going off on a complete tangent now, because I'm going to do all the snow and stuff on my army for when we go up to Warhammer World.
Yep.
On the 40k side. I've never put it, not for a long time, probably 3 years, put it all on the table, just to see it all.
What?
I'm going to have to do that.
The Age of Sigmar, so?
Both together.
Far too much Khorne for one table to take, I think.
Nah.
So, releases. Let's go through some releases, because...
Khorne!
You really genuinely have Khorne
Dude,
Tourette's,
I have been spoiled, haven't I? It is
spoiled.
ridiculous. There's an axe cutting through reality. Yeah.
I think that was a reference to the endless spells. But
they are not endless spells. They are manifestations of Khorne's wrath.
Okay. So Dan has got himself a new army tome. No, I never saw that coming.
Well, yeah. I think, obviously, I'm in some Khorne groups, would you believe? And the feeling was it was going to be on the table because there's a number of FAQs and things that are a bit different, and there are rules that are different in Wrath and Rapture. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it needed one right away. There are other things that could have one. But it's nice to see it. It's different. It's got the rather nice piece of artwork on the front of Corgus Cole.
Yep.
Or something of Khorne. I can't remember what the other name for it is. Something of Khorne. Mighty Lord of Khorne, that's what it is.
It's either Skull, Mighty, or Blood in there somewhere.
Yeah. So I might have to swap my Primaris picture that's on my wall for the Khorne one that I've got.
Uh-huh.
Because I can't fit them both on the wall, you see.
Yeah. So you got Dice, a new army tome, and...
Whoa. No. We've not seen Dice yet.
Oh, haven't we? Oh, no, you were just banging on about you might get them, that's right.
Yeah. So I was banging on. Thanks, dude. Right.
You're welcome.
So I have got Skull Taker.
Yes, yep.
He looks great. And do you know what he needs? He needs some bloodletters to lead.
Yeah.
So I better be doing them. Yeah.
So you're back to your old tricks, painting just endless amounts of Khorne.
Oh, I know, it's bad, isn't it?
Yes.
I need to paint something different. I painted the Flesh Hounds, and I was like, right, that's my Khorne unit, do something different. And then I was like, oh no, I seem to be painting Scar Bloodwrath. How's this happened? So anyway, there's him. The reason I'm a little bit concerned, because I really want Khorne dice, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't do Flesh Eater Quartz dice. Now, they've done dice for everything else, but they didn't do them for Flesh Eater Quartz.
They got a new
Maybe that's because they made them out of flesh and they were like, no, you can't have
that. Yeah, maybe they were a bit grim.
Yeah.
A bit too grim. They did get an army book, didn't they? Flesh Eater Quartz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So. There's loads of other stuff we could talk about, but I think we should focus on Khorne. So
we're done with Khorne. There is other stuff.
No, we aren't. We haven't actually got on to talking about this phenomenon yet.
What phenomenon?
The Khorne phenomenon.
The endless spells, dude.
No.
Endless spells. They have
Manifestations of Khorne's wrath.
Oh, yawn. Go on then.
Khorne doesn't have magic. They're just really nice. I think the giant Khorne symbol is going to be able to be used for loads of stuff.
Oh yeah, one of them is basically a piece of terrain.
Yeah,
which is quite cool.
I love the axe cutting through oh yes, and the skull. I just like them all.
Yeah.
I was genuinely it's funny because what was it? What's gone on pre-order today? I can't remember.
The Amble, wasn't it?
That's it. So on Sunday last week, the Amble was announced. Now the Amble, that to all intents and purposes, is a fantastic release. We talked about it in Galaxy of War, and it's a reimagining of something from ages ago. Really fantastic to see. I was absolutely gutted because I wanted it to be cool, and I know they'd only just been previewed, but
yeah, you're gonna have to wait a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean...
Just long enough to paint 30 blood letters, in fact.
Are you expecting any huge changes in the rules, or just a kind of tidying up?
Just the tidying up. I think I'll be interested to see what they do with... Because the Gore Pilgrims, combined with the Banner man dude, Blood Secretor, has been quite a popular choice. It's very rare, apart from maybe Council of Blood, which is the one with all the Bloodthirsters. It's very rare to see anything else in competitive play. I'm imagining that we'll see a change there. I think the Blood Secretor will move to a Wholly Within ability.
Because that gets ridiculous.
Yeah, and actually, what was I watching it on? I think it might have been the new Stormcast, not the latest one, but an episode of the Stormcast. And they were talking about why they're starting to bring that. The idea is not to have these big strung out units, because that's not visually what they were looking for.
No, it doesn't. It does look odd. It was one of the first things I noticed about Age of Sigmar, actually, is that when people were playing in tournaments, they had loads of weird lines rather than unit blobs. And I can understand there being a skirmish line in front of an army with unit blobs behind it. That would in fact look very cool and realistic, but it was just long lines of everything, and it looked a bit odd. So I'm glad they're moving away from it, really.
Yeah, so I think we'll see that change, which is fine. I think that you'll get some tidying up. So, at the moment, the Blood Crushers, which is the ones with the blood letters on the back, their Juggernauts have different rules to the Skull Crushers, which is the ones with Immortals on the back.
Yeah.
And the, hero versions of them both.
Yeah.
So, the hero blood letter on Juggernaut has different rules when charging than the other ones. So they'll sort all of that out, I'm sure. Be really exciting.
Yeah, I think so. So we have done quite a lot on Khorne, when there is quite a lot else to talk about. That has now completely escaped me, because I'm... Yes, so the Skaven have got themselves a new book, which is quite cool. It's pulled together there seems to be a lot of pulling together at the moment of the different factions to create a larger faction book. The Skaven are now the Skaven. Then you've got rules for all the different sorts of Skaven in there. The Goblins, the Troggus, the Spider Goblins, all of that lot. They've all come into the Gloomspire Gits. So rather than seeing more division, I think this next phase of Age of Sigmar is going to be about putting things together and tidying up. So we've got the Skaven. I love their dice.
They are by far and away the best themed ones I've seen in a long time.
Sorry. Squig dice?
No.
Yes.
The Squig dice were very funny, but you wouldn't use them in a game.
Says who? You speak for yourself, Chaos Boy.
Fine. You use them then. And when it takes you flipping ages just to work out because some of the little dots have worn off or something, you just enjoy yourself.
I will.
Remember, dude, you're getting on a bit and your eyes will start failing. Those Squig dice no good.
Well, they're good to have around to throw at you.
Yeah, alright, fair enough. I'd rather have them thrown at me because they bounce off, won't they?
So we've got the Skaven and the Flesh Eater Courts. I don't know anything about how the rules have changed for those at all. I love that box set though.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
I like the difference in the sorts of armies they've put in. It was really cool to see a Skaven army based on the big models. So that's quite cool. But
I think the gnaw holes are great, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's there's a lot of Age of Sigmar battle tomes coming out. It feels like a real push. Like I said, to tidy everything up, bring things together, get the older ones up to date. I don't know if that's a feeling that you have.
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of them coming out. I think basically, we've said this a few times, but what you're seeing now is each sort of game system is getting, it is almost completely, it's got its own focus, so you don't have like, oh, this month's 40k, this month's Age of Sigmar as much.
Yeah, it's just both
it's
coming
just
out.
all going on. I tell you what, the sort of dead cadaver type horses are a bit freaky, aren't they?
Yes.
I'm not as keen on their piece of scenery. Although
No?
I haven't seen it in the flesh. I just think it's probably, of the themed scenery, for me, it's the weakest at the moment. But that might change, once you see it in the flesh.
I think a lot of them the scenery's coming from strength to strength, to be honest. When you think about the first one, was that Nurgle tree. And then you've got to have the boat, and I think the Gloomspire Gitz one is superb.
Yeah, it is.
I'm really excited to see what the future holds for those. And then to wrap off the section, we have at the New York Toy Fair, we had a preview of a new game, which I'm not really sure. I think it'd be easier to describe it as a proper board game. It doesn't seem to be any models involved.
Which one is this? Because Chris said to me about that, but I can't see one where there's no models in it.
Well, hang on. Let me just find it.
Do you mean Stormvault?
Yeah.
There is models in that.
No, not Stormvault. Hang on. Stormvault is a stripped down version of Underworlds. So
no, that's Dreadfane.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Stormvault then. Hang on, let me just bring it up. Stormvault. There's more. I didn't see models in that. Oh, crikey, there is right in the corner. Yeah, no, apologise. Yeah. They just sort of blended into the board.
Oh, yes. Look, it's like all the realms. That board. That's ace. Ha!
So I'm not really sure what that is.
Oh, some of that art is from those little roundels. Some of the art in there is from the Firestorm campaign book.
Is it?
Goodness me, it looks like it takes some setting up. What's all them cards? Oh, well,
I don't know.
That'd be a good game. That might better get Harriet to play that with me. That'd be ace.
Yeah, so that's quite an interesting thing. I'm not really sure what to make of that. I think that's going to be, one to play and see how it works out. But Dreadfane, I really don't know what to make of Dreadfane, dude. I don't see the point, and I do see the point, and I just don't get it. I mean, how stripped down is it going to be? Are they going to have like Dreadfane I don't know. It's an odd one. I didn't see it coming. I think it's going to be one to play, and see how the rules fare. I don't know.
I think it would be interesting to find out what Marcus's views were.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what Marcus's views are, and the guys at Curtain as well. The people who are running.
It might be cool to get in touch with Rob and see, because I don't really. You've said before, I've made the decision not to get involved properly with that game because just because you have to keep on top of it. It's a bit like when you start doing the lottery, right?
Yes.
If you ever do anything other than just get a lucky dip, you'll never stop because you can't.
Yeah.
So yeah. It would be interesting to find the views of someone that knows a bit more.
I agree, because at the moment, I think I'm not sure what place it's got, but other than to get younger players or new players into the hobby, a new way in, I suppose. I don't know. But then I don't find the rules for Shadespire all that complicated straight out the box. It only gets complicated when you add in all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. Like I said, let's play it, see how it plays. I'll ask the people who do play it a lot and we'll get back to everyone on that, I think. So I think that draws our Mortal Realms segment to a close, dude.
Yes, I think it does, dude. Rather full one, and hopefully we'll be again next week, because I'm sure I'll get some more games in between now and then, and you'll hopefully get some painting done on your...
Well, I'd like to play a game with my goblins over the next fortnight as well.
Well, I'm sure we will get a game in March when it comes along. I know it's a little while away yet, but...
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in the community.
Hi, community. I'm Dan, and I've been oppressed by my co-host Ben into talking in a really quiet and not excited way. I am sorry for this.
What on earth
How
is
are
happening?
you, Ben? Hail to the community!
That's more like it.
Only joking. So, hopefully, people are actually even listening this far and haven't just turned it off. That would be a bit of a fail. There will be a quiz.
Quiz.
So,
I do the show notes and I'm like, what was that? So it's time to talk about our awesome community. Shout out time. It's one of my favourite bits of the podcast. So I've, as always, done a little bit of a pick of some of my favourite things I've seen over the last couple of weeks. And Dan has had a trawl through our hobby forum, which is a page we have on Facebook, and he's going to pull out some stuff from there. We've got the competition winner to announce for the first month, and a reminder about what this month is about. We're going to be doing some more posts to try and get people to post their works in progress to encourage everyone along. Dan and I are going to be doing some Necromunda scenery, aren't we, Dan?
I've been reminded, for those who are following us on our journey and sort of ramble through this whole episode, I've been reminded by Ben that powering off to do Lord of the Rings or Bloodletters kind of isn't quite what I committed to doing, which was my Necromunda terrain. So I'm going to do that.
I'm going to put a challenge forward to you to do some graffiti with your airbrush.
What, on the terrain or just generally?
On the terrain.
Right, okay. I'm not going to do that.
Tag in.
I'd just get some stencils.
Oh, boo. Right, so first off today, I'd like to shout out someone. I often come across accounts on Instagram or Twitter where the person the account just needs love, where it deserves more attention because the guy or gal who's doing it is doing some awesome stuff and isn't getting the attention that they deserve for it. So this first one is Florian Toughskull, Florian_Toughskull. On Instagram, and particularly the thing that caught my eye was came up on the hashtag Lord of the Rings, or painting Warhammer or something, I don't know. It's a non-metal metallic Lord of the Rings elf, a plastic elf. It's hard to get across now, really, for those people who haven't done Lord of the Rings. They're smaller scale. And the plastics, a lot of the early plastics, were not great. And this version of the elf just looks absolutely spectacular. Really, really nice. It's just brought the whole model to life. It's done in non-metal metallics. There's texturing done on the cloaks and fabrics. The base is really lovely, and it just deserves more love. So, if you're an Instagrammer, whatever that is called, head on over to Florian Toughskull and give him a follow, because it's not just that elf. He's got some fantastic Space Marine stuff on there.
Is this the same guy that's done the Garrex Reaver guy?
No, that's my next shout out.
Oh, right, okay.
He's done some great busts on there too, some excellent work on tattoos. So I just generally think he needs a bit more attention. So that's my first one, Florian Toughskull. The second one I'd like to call out is, Dan's giving it away, Garrex Reaver, done by Bebop Paints.
Right, I won't lie,
Kevin?
mate. That is one of the finest examples of miniature painting I think I've ever seen.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's stunning.
What I love about it is that he doesn't want to photograph or hasn't put the photographs of the back up yet, because he's not as happy with it as he is the front. And I'm like, dude, it's stunning. So please show us the photographs of the back. Non-metametallics. I guess. I've just been looking, like I said earlier, I've been looking at doing my Night Vault Stormcast in non-metametallic. So I've been again sort of looking at examples to try and. So that's why I suppose there's two of them on there. But it's not just that. The skin tones are gorgeous.
Well, and it's not like what I love is he hasn't done like some crazy conversion or an epic base. It's just all about the paint, the quality of the painting on the miniature as is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yes, it's a really nice example. So that's Bebop Paints on Instagram as well. So next thing, there's a third one. I just noticed that Quarter Paints, who is one of my favourite orc painters, has a YouTube account, which I didn't know. I don't often read people's profiles on Instagram. I just look at the pretty pictures and press the heart. So he has a YouTube account that does some great tutorials. I watched the one on how to do a desert base today, and it was very, very good. So if you haven't looked at Quarter Paints and like orcs, then that's something you really ought to do. But generally, anyway, he's a great hobbyist, and it's well worth having a look at his YouTube account for the nice little tutorials he's got on there.
Have you liked him with our YouTube account?
I have subscribed to him on our YouTube account.
Good, that just means I can find it.
Yeah. Yep. So over to you, Dan, and the hobby desk.
Well,
the hobby forum.
As normal, I am very, very organised. So I'm just going to go and find what I was looking at. Just did some filler music there. So, things to shout out. I did see, and I really, really liked it, Dave Hardy has got his terrain set finished for Kill Team. And It was great because he said he bought it on release weekend last July and has just finished the terrain. Which is
a lot in there.
Yeah, there is. And also I think it just shows we all get very excited and we don't necessarily get to stuff straight away. But well done, dude, because it's good to get it done, and I really like it quite a lot. That's good. And I know I've shouted out before, but Ian has done his Gondor. Oh, mate.
Yeah.
So I've just thrown mine away. No, they look fantastic. I really like it. What I do like a lot, and I'm going to have to think about this with mine, is they look uniform but not. So mine tie together, but almost too much, I feel. Like, I like them, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy with them. But these guys, they look like they've nicked the same cloth and stuff like that, but just in a ragtag way. So I think that's really good. I really like them. So I suppose while we're in the hobby community, which, as we said last time, it's fantastic to see how vibrant it is. Unfortunately, I've not replied as much the last couple of weeks because the Facebook Manager app is absolutely trash. And it keeps mine keeps sort of lagging. So I thought I was all up to date, and then today I went into it and it asked me some questions because it must have updated, and it said I had like 89 outstanding things to respond to. So yeah, I'll make my way through those. But yeah, it's madness. So thank you for all of those people that are posting. We're not ignoring you. My phone is, but I'm not. Right. What were we talking about, Ben?
Competition,
dude. That's right. So, some awesome entries. Really, really nice. Really like the Yvrain it is, isn't it? Yvrain looks fantastic. Icy Troll Beast looks fantastic. Well, they all look fantastic, to be honest. I could just go through going, looks fantastic. So the winner, by popular voting, is Mr. Rob Jones and his rather nice Stormcast. Now, the face is just unreal, I think.
Not bad, is it?
What do you mean not bad?
I think the best thing about this model is that he finished it.
Yes, I was going to say that.
No, I'm joking. Well done, Rob. It really is very nice. And I've seen it in person. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's a lovely model.
That's awesome.
It's a good effort.
Ben the Bass is in there as well with his rather nice, it's Tidecaster, I think it's called.
The bass on that is, well, you can't be Ben the Bass and not produce a nice bass, I suppose, but that bass is just knocked my socks off a bit.
That's very good, isn't it? So thank you all for entering. They look really, really good. What we'll do, we'll pick the sort of top 3 and get some pictures out onto the main 2P's bit. And
then remember, those top 3 will go on into a larger competition to get in a place, which will be voted on a larger scale, and there was a prize for that one. So
yes, definitely. And this month is Grime is the theme, which is why I've been reminded I'm supposed to be painting my Necromunda terrain. So I haven't seen a lot of activity on Grime yet, guys, so please do put up some pictures and posts of anything you're working on that fits the bill on that. Because if you don't, we might just have to go with pictures of Ben mud wrestling, and nobody needs that.
No, they don't. They genuinely don't.
No. So, I was kind of intending for that to be funny, but it's actually disturbed me a bit.
That's disturbed me.
So Grime, and we will announce the winner of that. When shall we announce the winner of that, dude? What's the date?
Well, before probably 4 weeks now, so
41
2 episodes time. Yeah, 41.
Yeah.
Goodness,
so we'll announce the winner for that for 41. Number. Goodness, yeah, lot in it. High numbers.
Yeah.
So events, dude.
You couldn't just catch up with them now, could you?
Pardon?
We might have to give a highlights one of our back catalogue.
Oh yeah, that's quite a good idea. I don't know. We've put people through it once already. I don't think they need to be reminded.
Yeah. No, maybe not. Right, so let me just get the calendar up. Go calendar. Da 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 da. Which is it's a surprisingly good film, actually, the new Power Rangers film.
Yeah, I'd quite like to watch that.
Right, so, of course, no point talking about what's happening while we're recording. Well, there's the 40k Grand Tournament at head office. That's going on. Okay, so 23rd and 24th and 25th, that's the weekend. That will be after this this episode. So what we've got on our calendar at the moment is the Southwest Destiny Regional, which is being run by Curtain Games. Yep, Curtain Games. They're just picking up some great regional stuff.
Yeah.
Doing some really good large events. And then the Terranian Onslaught 40k tournament being run at Terra Games. That one's in Newton Abbot. That's a 2,000 point Warhammer 40k single tournament. That's probably sold out by now, but like I said, as soon as we find these events, they go on our calendar. So if you're looking for something in the future, head on down and have a look. But if you are fancying a game of 40k, it's always worth contacting them and seeing if there's a space. Next week is Convergence, which is up in Element Games, Convergence UK.
What game system is that?
What game system is that? I think it's a multi-game system.
Oh, right.
Oh, hang on. No, I apologise. I've just opened it up and it's not available, so they might have changed the date of that. No, here we go. So that is it's a weekend of RPGs, including Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. There's loads in here. X-Wing, Infinity. It's a real multi sort of thingy event. So the event link is on our calendar if you want to go and have a look at more details than that. That's March the 1st, that one. Or the weekend of March the 1st. And it's Curtonian Carnage 2 is on the Saturday, the 2nd of March. That's a 40k tournament at Curtain Games, and that's 2,000 points. That's quite a big game, isn't it? 2,000 points, I always find, for a tournament.
Yeah. You get tired, man.
Yep, I do. I don't know anyone else. And then moving forward onto the 10th, there's some Age of Sigmar big tournament that I think some dude's going to that I know.
Yeah.
On the 10th
if
of
you
March.
if you want a surefire you won't come last event,
that's the one.
That's the one to go to.
Yeah, that's the one. And the West Midlands Model Show is on Sunday the 10th of March.
Oh.
Yeah. And then March itself is quite a
Where
busy
is
month.
the
But
West
then,
Midlands Model Show?
where is it?
Yeah. The venue.
Oh, hang on. West Midlands Aldersley Leisure Centre, which I'm assuming is in Aldersley.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Or Aldersley. Yes. Loads coming up. Following on from that, but we'll leave that for the next podcast. And I'll go through and make sure everything's sort of tidied away. As ever, not as ever, as we've intended to do from this point onwards, just to remind everyone of the upcoming large Southwest event, Rolling Dice, which is on the 6th to 7th of July. It's probably the biggest wargaming regional that we've had the pleasure of having since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
In the Southwest, and the more of us that support it, the more likely it is to carry on, and the more likely it is to carry on, the more awesome it is likely to become.
So we'll put up a link, but it's Roll Dice Gaming with the Bristol City Open attached to it.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
Cool.
Yes. Is that it? Have we come to the end of it?
Yes.
I think we have. So next section is we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings. So I'm going to go and find my Gondor at War book and grab a cup of tea, and we'll be right back.
There's only one thing to say here. Gondor calls for aid.
And Rohan will answer. Hi guys, and welcome to Middle Earth. So this is our section where we talk about Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, because it's been re-released and we love it and we like giving it some time, but it's not a primary thing that we do, so we can't really fill a weekly slot on it. But I have picked myself up the first of their army books. I don't know what you call it. Who knows?
It's more like a scenario type storybook, isn't it?
Well, it's interesting, dude. This is I'm going to talk about it, but I don't know what it is.
Right, there we are.
I think expansion is probably the best way to describe it. So the first thing that I've got to point out, because it amused me, is, now I may be wrong, and I may have really struggled with reading the map, but I sat down to read this book with my son when I unpacked it from my lovely box of goodies that was sent to me, and I opened the front page, and he's like, "Oh, is that the map of Middle-earth, Dad?" And I'm like, yeah, it's the map of Middle-earth. And he says, "Where's Gondor?" Well, that is a very good question. Not on the map is the answer.
Really?
So, for some reason, the map that is in the front and back of the book, and I'm pausing because I'm just double checking myself, doesn't go any further south than Rohan. So, the only bit that I can see is the Black Gate, which I did not know was level with Edoras, but there you go. So I don't really, I'm not really sure why they've done that, because I was trying to show them where Gondor is, and it's not there. But, so, when we get past that, so, you're right. Essentially, a lot of the book is, so the history of Gondor at the start, but that's not very long. Really, if you want background for Lord of the Rings, just read the books. And then it is a lot of scenarios. That's kind of the bulk of the book. But they're going to flow in time with the films. So what I like about it is that there's a lot, and they've covered a lot from the films. So the defense of Osgiliath, retaking of Osgiliath, that's when you've got Boromir with his flag. Ambush Athelion, the bit where you see the monks getting ambushed by the rangers. And it goes on like that. So raiding of Palagir, fall of Osgiliath. It really is the scenario for almost every key moment in the story, which I thought was really cool. Faramir's charge, if you wanted to reenact just Faramir's charge, there's a scenario for that. I know. Hang on, let me just check that one, because I'm going to get all participants. Oh! They've done the 12 Knights of Minas Tirith. No!
Oh.
That's a shame. For those who are not Lord of the Rings, obsessed like we are, in the film it is, in fact, the 12 Knights of Minas Tirith. But in the books, it's the Knights of Dol Amroth, so it's a bit of a shame that they've chosen to do that, in my opinion, but I suppose they're linking it with the film, so that's what they've done. The gate is breached, so there's a scenario for when the troll comes through the gate. So when we got through the scenarios, this is where I thought it got interesting, actually. And there is a lot of them. We then come on to, what's this? That still only counts as one. The arrival of the 3 hunters in the army of the dead has caught the orcs off guard. The scenario is represented as a mini-game. Basically, it's a mini-game to fighting on top of the Mummikill. That's really funny. So there you go. There's actually a scenario to just using the Mummikill as a board.
Can I just throw something Lord of the Rings related out there? I've just seen a great picture online of Lurtz, and it says, "When you lose your short friends in the nightclub," and then it's Lurtz shouting, "Find the halflings!" There we are. That's my contribution.
So, once you've got past scenario, then there's a really cool bit on how to run it as a campaign, working your way through all of the scenarios, and on what happens as a knock-on effect for, for the next thing, if you win or lose, depending on which side win or lose. So, for example, the Charge of Rohirrim, if it's a good victory, in the War Beasts from the South scenario, AMO may re-roll failed to hit and 2 wound rolls when using a throwing spear. So that's quite a nice little easy kind of run through. There's not a huge mechanic in that, which I quite like. So I think that really is for, 2 people playing it through, that kind of thing, or a bunch of people with armies playing through the story of the film. So that's quite cool. This is where I quite like it. So it then goes on to the different armies, and it adds in the stats for some of the newer character models. So Ingold and Hero in the Tool, that kind of stuff. What I really like about this section is it talks in a very kind of helpful way about what the armies are like. So rather than a bit vague, like, oh, they're good at close combat, or they're good at shooting, it really talks about sort of the benefits of the army itself. So you're going to pick out Rohan, and there's sections for each of them on the key models and how they work in the game. The things that you need to know about. And one of them in the Rohan section is gambling. It says, at first glance, gambling may not seem like anything special, but he has an average stat line and nothing that makes him stand out. Until you take into the account the royal standard of Rohan, whenever a Rohan hero within range starts a turn without a point of might, they immediately gain 1. This recycling of might points allows a Rohan force to constantly be on the move and keep charging for far longer than any other army. I think that's really good gaming advice that you might not have noticed yourself. And each kind of army has a list of key models. They've chosen 4 key models. Usually it's a unit and a couple of characters. So, for example, the Fiefdoms, it's got Prince Imrahil, the Knights of Dol Amroth, Forlong the Fat, and the Blackroot Vale Archers. So it gives you kind of 4 key units and discusses how their pros and cons. For example, on Rohan as well, they give you army strengths and weaknesses. So it says the excellent choice of heroes, the huge number of heroes available for Rohan force that's able to suit your battlefield needs. Weaknesses, no fight 6 heroes. While the heroes of Rohan are impressive, none of them are quite the same level as the mightiest heroes of men such as Aragorn, Isildur, etc.
It's good, isn't it?
I like these sections. I like these armies. I think it's really helpful for when you're choosing or working out how to play with them.
You've made me think I might go and pick it up now. Just sounds like an interesting read.
The ones covered in there are Minas Tirith, Rohan, obviously, the Fiefdoms, the Dead of Dunharrow, Mordor, the Serpent Horde, Far Harad, and Corsairs of Umbar. So there's quite a few in there. It's definitely not just about Gondor, if you know what I mean. It's kind of the information is spread across all of those armies. It's not just about Gondor at all. I don't think really Gondor has more information here than any of those other ones I've just called out. So, as much as it says Gondor at war, I think this is more of an expansion to play the Gondor at war scenario.
Oh, right,
okay. This is the bit I really love. Legendary legions, right? So, legendary legions are armies from snapshots in the films. So, a legendary legion is a new way of selecting your army for a battle. Each represents those fighting forces that were present at a specific battle or point in time within the history of Middle-earth, either from the books or the films. By providing a bespoke army list with all the relevant characters and heroes as well as a series of special rules to faithfully encapsulate the feel of the moment you're representing on the tabletop. And where does it say it in there? Yes, these collection of warriors have not always been from the same armies, kingdoms, or even races, but they fought and died on the battlefield together. I think it's great. So, it effectively says that you will get models in there that you wouldn't normally be able to take in that army, but they're there. So, there's the Rangers of Ithilien, the Grey Company. I love the Grey Company. The Grey Company is it's effectively Aragorn on his way to south to to fight in Mordor. Yeah. So it's effectively Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Elrond's twin sons, and all of the rangers that fought with Aragorn. The Return of the King, so that's him coming off the boat. It's all good me reading them out, but I'm trying to give you an idea of what they are. So it's a very specific army composition list. So the Riders of Theoden is Theoden, Éomer, Dernhelm, Dioin, Gambling, Elfhelm, the Captain of Rohan with a horse, a Rider of Rohan, and the Rohan Royal Guard on horse. And you can make your army out of that. And then you get additional rules that count for that force. So the Riders of Rohan must always include Theoden, and Dernhelm may be deployed as part as Elfhelm's warband if you wish to do so. Dernhelm will count as an independent hero. And then they get special rules. So Ride for Ruin and the World's Ending. Friendly Rohan cavalry models gain +1 to strength on the turn in which they charge. And Death, once per game at the start of the fight phase, so long as he is alive and on the battlefield. Theoden can declare that he is using this ability, and every friendly model, friendly Rohan hero within 12 may declare a heroic combat or heroic strike. So you basically get special rules and additional rules for using an army made out of the composition list. And they're all really wicked and themed. Like, the Men of the West is the army that faced off at the Black Gate. And like I said, it's not just about Rohan and Mordor. There's the army of Gothmog, the Grand Army of the South, which is the Serpent Hordes, the Blackgate Orcs. There's loads of them in here, dude. So for making really themed armies. So not just playing those small scenarios, or even the larger scenarios, because some of the scenarios are like the Charge of Rohan. But if you want to play a battle at the Black Gate, and you could just choose those two, Legion lists and do it.
It sounds really good. It sounds like it's rammed full of content. It is.
It's really, really good. And then at the back, almost as an afterthought, there's a whole bunch of colour pages with some lovely photographs. Although it's all in colour, but the kind of model pages that you normally get dominating the centre of the book. So this is a really rules heavy, extra content book that I am incredibly impressed with. It's all of the best bits of the old Lord of the Rings, and it's all of the goodness of the new Lord of the Rings. And of course, a massive support with the models that have come out with it. So you've got Éowyn on a horse with Pippin. Is it Pippin? It is Pippin, isn't it? You've got the Gondor captains. You've got Gandalf the White on his horse. You've got crazy lunatic man with his trying to burn his son at the stake. Denethor. That's a scenario, by the way. You've got all of the new orc captains that they did as well. You've got the Harad Mumuk captain. If that isn't like a really encouraging, really exciting view of what we can expect from the future books, I don't know what is. I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So like I said, it's not an army book. It's not a scenario book. It's a
Do you remember what it costs?
In the truest sense of the word. I don't. Actually.
I don't think it's a lot.
20s. No, I don't know off the top of my head, sorry. That would have been useful for this product review. But it's I think it's under 30, definitely. I don't know. But it's easily the size of the biggest codexes you get. It's 130 pages long. It's great. I think it's fantastic, but I really don't know why Gondor isn't on the map. It's the only thing I found that is baffling. But it's baffling. I don't have any idea what they're going to do next, though. Because they're still releasing models based on that book, which is great, really, because it's a good indication of how much support they're giving those books. So, but it's definitely not a Gondor book, which is, I suppose, a bit misleading. Really, in the title, and I think a lot of people thought it was like because the way Lord of the Rings used to be done was scenario books, and then they moved on to what was effectively army books. So, Khazad Dûm, for example. But they often had two forces in, and then they moved on even further, and it was just like free peoples, for example.
Yeah.
And it was all of the stats for those people. This book has very little stats in it. Practically only covers the stuff that has been released since they printed the other ones. It's a completely different beast. It's like a merging of, like I said, all of the good stuff of the past. So you can literally recreate the whole film. You know, the whole of the last film with that book from start to finish without missing anything.
That sounds epic.
Like I said, there's even a scenario for Legolas on top of the Mummikill. and Crazy Man trying to burn Faramir.
Oh, yeah.
Denethor. So, and the Gandalf the White stopping him. So, it's great. I really would, if you're into the Lord of the Rings, I would very strongly suggest now, that you try and pick up all of the books as they come up. Maybe not the models. You can pick, the models are things that you can pick up when you decide to do or if you decide to do it. But if you're one for playing through the scenarios in the films, or, I think they're great. I think that's a really encouraging book.
Yeah, it sounds good. You've made me want to get it.
Sorry,
That's
dude.
all right.
Because I know you were like, oh, I won't need that. It's Gondor and I'm Mordor. but it's not. It's the problem. There's a lot of Mordor in there. So, yeah. Have we had any cool... Yeah, we've had loads of cool Lord of the Rings models, haven't we?
2 new orcs.
Yep, 2 new orcs. The 3 hunters. The only reason I didn't pick the 3 hunters up is because I've got the old resin ones, and I haven't painted the old resin ones, so I don't think I could justify to myself getting the new ones without having painted the old ones. Yeah. I've got Eowyn. She's coming out, isn't she, on her horse?
Yeah.
She's... and on foot as well. But that wicked little extra thing that they did with Gandalf the White, where you can have plus or minus Hobbit.
Oh, yeah. It's clever.
Plus or minus Hobbit. So yeah, there we go. That's my ramblings complete for Lord of the Rings this week. And I'm sorry, I'm just flicking to see if I can... No, can't find it off the top. I think that draws us to a close, unless you've got anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think that's everything, mate. I say I haven't really done a lot just recently, but try and get something done over the next few weeks. Yeah, that is us.
It is a bit of a bug of that book, though, because now I'm like, oh, I need Mordor. Lots of Mordor, so I can play the whole thing. And at least 3 Mummikills.
Obviously.
At least. Minimum. Or find someone who's happy to collect all of the evil armies. And we'll actually follow through with it.
Alright. Let's move on. So, that is us for episode 39. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, congratulations. We are, as ever, available on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, which is at the 2P's podcast. We also do have a YouTube, not a lot on there, but a couple of interesting things. And as ever, we always like to say a massive thank you. We don't try and push it as such with the Patreon, but thank you to those who have decided to support us. It means a great deal. So thank you very much for that. Ben.
It genuinely does.
Yeah. Ben, have I missed anything obvious?
No, I haven't. No, just extra shout out to the Hobby Forum. If you listen to our podcast, we'd love you to get involved in the Hobby Forum, which is on Facebook, because we genuinely love seeing other people's hobby. It inspires us to carry on with our own and to keep making the podcast, because hobby is what it's all about. And just focusing on your own hobby can feel a little bit isolated and boring. And we're seeing such awesome stuff from people all over the world in that forum that it really almost motivates me too much, because I end up running around in circles like the chicken from Moana. But yeah, lovely. Thank you very much, guys. And we will see you for episode 40, which is crazy, isn't it? Oh, just one last thing to say. We will be playing, it is set in stone now, on Warhammer TV on the 15th of March. So if you fancy seeing just how bad we are at the game, you can tune in and watch us embarrass ourselves on Twitch. All right, guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.